Hi, I'm Simon and I'm a creative designer. I work in photography, videography, websites, social media and anything that's digital. I've been doing it for about 2 and a bit years now. It happened by chance really. I came from the transport engineering background, so I worked for local councils and consultancies as well. And so I came out of that for various reasons. I just needed a change. So I started volunteering at my church, just helping out. And so I started to look at these social media channels. And then from there, I picked it up and started looking at the website and other things like that. And so literally it just happened by chance really, grew from there. No, I started with photography really on my iPhone actually. I purchased an iPhone 7 Plus because I thought, right, okay, if I want to be looking at social media and photography within that, then I want to start investing into some gear. So it was okay, but obviously when you want to zoom in from a far distance, it's a lot more difficult. So using an iPhone is much better when you're up and close and personal. But for instance, when you're in an auditorium of 2,000, then when you start to zoom in, then the quality starts to get compromised. So then I started to consider what other options were available to me. So I bought a Canon 1300D, which is basically a basic beginner's level of DSLRs. I bought that with a MacBook Pro on the same day, the day before I went to Hillsong Church in Sydney, because my church offered to pay for me to go to their first worship and creative conference. It's been a mixed bag. I've enjoyed parts of it, and also I've experienced the difficulties of it as well. I've only ever worked for different people, so when you're looking at starting your own business, it's a completely different mindset. So you've got to think of pricing, you've got to think of, outgoing. So you've got to think about like public liability insurance, professional indemnity insurance. You've got to think about other things like investing in your own equipment, actually paying yourself. The balance between charging reasonable rates to people and obviously trying to make sure that you're able to make a decent profit so you can pay yourself and obviously keep investing into your business. And obviously when you're working with people, people have, different circumstances when you're thinking about paying for the jobs and what their expectations are compared to yours, what you think you're worth yourself. So there's a lot of different mindsets and different things which, when you're working for somebody, you haven't got to think about it. You can just get on with your jobs. But when you're actually running your own business, it's a completely different ballgame. So the idea behind Alexander Media Solutions is not just about me, it's creating a creative hub. And I've got a passion for young people generally anyway, and seeing them thrive and seeing them prosper in the skills and the talents and the giftings that they have. So I've been working with different young people with web design, with photography, with videography as well. And my whole point for Alexander Media Solutions isn't to employ people, it's to actually empower people. So instead of employing people with salaries, I'm actually subcontracting people because I want to encourage people to actually set themselves up and say, look, what do you have in your hand? What can you do? And so they can then, I can then bring them on board and they can start working with me as opposed to for me. It's a crowded market, but it's a very sparsely populated market in a sense. If you're in media, then you know who's around, you know your competition, you know people that you can work with and all that kind of stuff. But actually, when you actually talk to, let's say, normal people who own businesses, there's a lot of people who have had a business for a long time that don't have a website, don't have social media presence. And so basically I haven't found that, it's been particularly difficult in the sense to, find the need, because, just through general conversations that I've had with people, and obviously because I lead the media team at church, there's a lot of people that come to me and say, oh, you look after the church website, oh, you manage the photography team, the social media, oh, I need this for my business, I need that for my business, can you help me? And I'm like, yes, definitely. And so church has been a great kind of community to help start me off, but then also as well in terms of encouraging others, because obviously as I'm training other people as well, it's bringing them along, and then obviously because their skills are coming up as well, I'm able to use them in this crowded market to bring them alongside. So it depends on who you're going for, who your target audience is. Now, obviously, if you're starting out from scratch, then you're not going to target a huge corporation, but through general building up relationships, through conversations with different people, you start small, and then obviously word of mouth is probably one of the biggest things, biggest advertisements that you can get. And so the better quality your work is, the more people will promote you and say, oh, I know someone who does this, this and this, let me put you in contact. It's very important, brand identity. I mean, I'm still learning myself. For instance, my logo is an A. It's just simple. It's a simple logo. It's striking red background with a black A, and basically that was informed from when I was a child. I used to watch the A-Team a lot, and so my middle name is actually Alexander as well. My surname's Purohit, so I knew people wouldn't spell it correctly anyway. So I just thought, you know what? Let me use Alexander Media Solutions, and with the A-Team, it was very familiar to me because it always had like a black background and either red or white writing. So in terms of my brand identity itself, I've gone for a simple design, but yet striking so it stands out. I've kind of chosen three things, three words. I've used creative, innovation, and passion. And so what I wanted to kind of get across really is, do you know what, we're a young group of creatives who have a passion for and a desire to, create in all kinds of media, to be innovative. And so we may not be doing groundbreaking new innovations, but in the sense we're providing innovative solutions to small businesses, small churches and colleges and different things like that, who actually don't have the capabilities. And so in a sense we're kind of coming up with innovative solutions to meet their needs. And then passionate, we're very passionate about what we do. We love photography. There's a lot of things that we do for free, so we're not in it just to make a fast buck, but actually this is something that's coming from the inside and coming out. And so in terms of being passionate, we want to show people that, you know what, we have a passion for what we do, and we're excited to share that passion with you. I found Cashflow really helped me. That's an online bookkeeping bit of software, but also as well, you're able to run your whole business from it, because it collects customer contact details. It generates quotes for you. You can turn those quotes into invoices. You can actually email those invoices out as well. You can set up payments so that people can actually pay online straight onto your invoice. There's lots of different things that you can do on there. So I found that really helped me to operate my whole business from that one central focus point. So I generally use the Adobe suite. So I use Adobe Lightroom for photos, and then for various kind of like amendments on top of that, I'll use Photoshop. For videography stuff that I do, I use Premiere Pro. Yeah, I've had a few occurrences of late payments. So at first it gets quite annoying, and it can really get to you, but what I've done now is I've started to, assess all the different dealings that I've had with different customers, and think to myself, right, okay, what can I learn from each experience that I've had. And so now what I do to avoid those kinds of things is I take full payment up front. So I'll have a telephone discussion with people, and then I'll be like, right, this is how much it's going to cost. Do you have the budget for it? Okay, let me send the invoice over to you. The invoice has to be paid in full, and then we can start discussions. That way I know that my pay is being fully guaranteed, and I haven't got to be chasing, because there's nothing worse than doing so much work for people and then having to chase payment. Preparation is definitely key with successful shoots. What I normally do is, like for the portrait photography sessions that I do, I'll have a look at the person's social media first. So I'll kind of get a gauge on what their style is, what they like to wear, and then I'll put a Pinterest board together, and it's been a lifesaver, and it has helped to develop me as well in terms of not just taking photos, but I've got aspirations of being a creative director. So what I'll do is I'll put a Pinterest board together of the different looks which kind of match the model. And what I'll do as well is I'll send my models a couple of YouTube tutorials that will help them to be directed in terms of what kind of poses to do and different things like that. So putting together the Pinterest boards, sending over the YouTube tutorials to the models as well, especially when they haven't modeled before. Basically that helps them in terms of preparation, and helps me as well. So we've got a plan of action of what we want to do. And then also what I'll do as well is, depending on kind of what fashion style they have, I'll think of really good locations to take pictures as well. So before, what I've done is I've done a shoot with a ballet dancer, but then I've gone to an urban environment where there's lots of graffiti as a backdrop. And so using that, I've already thought of the kind of look that I wanted to go for, kind of a contrasty kind of feel from a well-polished ballet dancer with kind of raw and rugged urban street photography. So inspiration for me comes from observing other people's work. There's quite a few people that I follow through social media, on lots of different media platforms, from websites to photography to videography. And so I like to always look and see, okay, what are they doing? How are they doing it? Try and break it down, and then I challenge myself. Right, today I've got to go out and take photos of this, or I'm going to create a landing page looking like this. So what I try to do is replicate different things that people have done, not to copy and publish, but to kind of inspire me and to train me up. So I'm always kind of looking deeper and beyond what you may necessarily see on face value. There's a couple of people really who are my biggest inspirations at the moment. One is a photographer and videographer based in Toronto, Canada, called Peter McKinnon. That guy is amazing, and the thing I like about him is he's so friendly. His tutorials and vlogs are really interesting. He takes you out to where he does different jobs and that, but he's always changing things up. He's always looking for new and improved ways to do things. And what I like about him as well is he's always sharing his skills. And the other person I would say is a guy called Chris Do, who manages a company called The Future, and he does a lot of design for print and websites as well. His tutorials and how he deals with things is really inspiring, and he's kind of got a creative hub as well. And so I'm always following his social media posts, and I find him very inspiring in terms of what he does and how he does it. Some of the best feedback I've had is from the 2 weddings that I've done so far. They're the most special days in people's lives, and you've only got one chance to capture those special moments. And so, one of the weddings that I did, they were really happy because the original photographer that they had in mind was quite forceful and quite pushy. But when they changed to me, They really appreciated the fact that I wasn't in the faces, that I was respectful to them and the guests. I was quite laid back actually, and so they hardly noticed that I was there, and I think that's really important because at the end of the day, you have to manage the customer's expectations. I'm not coming in with my own kind of agenda of what I want to do and how I want to do it. It's important to, cater towards your clients' needs and requests. And also both clients were people that don't necessarily like to be on photos. So the fact that they were really happy with, their experience with me, they were happy with the quality of the shots, and the whole experience of the day, in the end they felt like I was part of the wedding group because I was social with people, I was chatting, having a laugh as well. So, I would say that was the best feedback that I've had so far. I'd want to work with Peter McKinnon, as I mentioned previously. I'd want to work with Chris Doe. I'd want to work with a portrait photographer called Julia Trotty from Sydney, Australia. I'd like to work with a wedding photographer called Tyler Jackson, who's based in the US. And the fifth person I'd like to work with is a photographer called Brandon Woeful, who does very creative portraits and is well respected within the field.